Hello everyone, this is how to run QC on the Simon's Dimension Vista. These are the chemistry machines that we use in the hospital I work at. So this is what the Vista looks like. We have two of them in our lab and they're down for QC. One goes down at about midnight and the other one goes down around 7 a.m. So the grave personnel normally is the one doing the QC, unless they are off, and then we have the people in the morning start running that. So some of the Vista components, bring your attention to number 6, which is the Alcott plate loader, along with number 9 and number 7. Number 7 is the loci vessel loader, and number 9 is the cuvette loader. Before we start QC, it's always important to make sure that we have everything loaded and supplies are refreshed, just to make sure that QC goes as smoothly as possible and there's no errors of low vessels or anything like that to put us behind. In the little doors below is where a lot of our water reagents are, along with our wastes. Before we do QC, we're going to remove waste A and waste B. Those are labeled at number 2 and 3 below. And then once a week, we will be shutting down the system completely when we do QC, and that would be number 5. We just flip that power switch, let the machine sit for 5 minutes, and then turn it back on before the machine goes into downtime. This is the computer screen of the Vista. So this is the home screen. So to make the wastes empty for the computer system, we're gonna hit Setup below. And then it'll bring up a whole bunch of these other little tabs along the bottom. So if you hit Setup and then Supplies, it will bring you to this screen. And this kind of gives you an idea of how full everything is on the system. So in this cuvette, you see there is one little red box. That is one of the cuvette holders that is completely empty, and they come in these big sleeves, so we just replace the whole thing. So we're just going to hit Replenish Cuvettes, and that will bring up this screen here. This screen has 2 red ones. If there are out, they will say 0. The number that they have total will be remaining in the green. So what you'll do is you'll just tap on the red, and it will rotate the wheel that the cuvette cartridges are on, and we just open the door and take out the old one and just replace it with a new one. And once that is done, you hit Cartridge Replace in blue, labeled by number 7, and then you hit Finish, which is labeled by number 8. Let me go back. After that, we're going to remove the waste. If you need to go back to earlier in the video to see which doors to open, you can. There is one on each side of the machine. So on the right set of doors, it's on the left, and then on the left set of doors, it's on the right. And they just slide out. The red liners get replaced every Friday, and you just dump them in the biohazard. Waste A will automatically pop up with this little "Did you reset waste A" box. Label number 6. You're going to click yes, and then you are also going to click Reset Count B, which is down here right above the supplies. That will bring up the same kind of box, and you just click yes. Reset Count B will not automatically pop up when you remove the waste B from the machine. So you just have to make sure you get that clicked. After that, we are going to go and hit System on the bottom menu bar, and it will automatically go to the first one, which is this daily log here, labeled with number 2. We want to make sure that we complete all of these daily tasks. We only run the probe test once a week, but we want to make sure that we get everything clicked before the machine has to go into downtime and do QC. So this is the screen before we start our QC. Coming in, sometimes they'll have reagent needs or a lot will be missing. So the reagent needs will be in this red box on the left. And then we just go over to our flex fridges and you just find whatever one it is asking for, and we will load it on with any other QC or calibrators that we may need. So we're gonna go back to the setup tab, and instead of going to supplies, we're gonna go to inventory shown below. Once you click inventory, it will bring up reagents, and there's this little bar on the side where it has different sections that you can click. We're going to click vial carriers. Vial carriers is going to show us how much of each reagent is loaded on the machine, specifically calibrators and QC material products. What we want to check for is to make sure that all the materials that are loaded are not expired. The machine automatically will not use expired products, but it will use the ones that are very low, and even though they might only have one use, the machine will still try to run them for QC purposes. We try to avoid getting that low because if we have to run QC again, it takes a lot longer because almost all of the reagents are kept in our freezer. And it takes about 30 minutes for them to completely thaw out or more. So with the vial carriers, there's different colors. So if they are white, that means they have enough level, they're within their expiration, they might have just got put on. So those white ones are good to go. If they are yellow, it means that the reagent is getting close to expiration, or the level volume is getting low and it might be a good idea to consider removing them. Numbers between 1 and 20 we keep just for our QC material, so they line up first, so we can know exactly where to go when we're running QC. Calibrators run on anything 20 and above, just for the vial carriers. Go back. This little 16 that we have down here, that is because we have selected vial carrier 16, and it will show you what type of a material is on it. So we have QC and dilutant, and then it will list the product, what lot level it is, when it expires, and the volume. I like to keep an eye on the volume and the expiration date specifically. If it's getting close to expiration, there are some that degrade a lot faster than others, so it is a good idea to remove those before we get into QC. Typically, anything that is yellow, we will take off the machine and replace, and if it is red, we will also take it off the machine and replace. All right, before the machine goes into downtime, we'll also go to the setup and needs. This will bring up any flux packs that we might need shortly. So this reagent here, there's only one on the machine, and there's only 62 tests remaining on this lot. And the lot expiration is in October. So this lot will be good to stay on the machine. It will just get used up fairly quickly. So if this is the only one that's low, we don't need to worry about putting any more flex packs on. Now, this is if we pull off any QC and the machine will automatically do inventory and see what it needs. So the control needs will pop up in a little red box. It'll say control needs up at the top. This one needs the urine chemistry controls and then multi-qual controls. So they will be shown here in the needs. And you can switch between these screens on the little right-hand column. There's those little buttons. So you have like your reagent cartridges, calibration vials, QC vials, and sample dilutant vials. I just kind of flip through those every time before the machine goes into downtime, which is about midnight. So I do this about 10 o'clock, make sure I get everything squared away. If you do need to put on new QC, you're going to highlight which ones you're pulling out of the freezer, out of the fridge. You're going to hit these print vial barcodes, and we split our QC from 5 ml bottles into 2 separate containers. So control level 1 will have two 2.5 ml bottles. One will go on this vista, and then we also have a second vista at this location, and the other set will automatically go on the other one. We just don't do enough volume, and they will expire faster than we use them, so that's why we split them between the two machines. This is what the little vial carriers will look like. The QC will normally just have a plain colored white top. So we have the little barcode, we make sure they're facing outward. A way I like to think of this little back piece is solid. You want the open part where you read the barcodes to be facing out, and then we'll put this in the loading rack. And it has a little diagram of how everything is supposed to be. This is where you load the flex packs as well. There's a little pause button and a go button. If the green is flashing, that means you're able to put reagents on, and you just click that button and it will send it into the machine. It takes a minute for the machine to read the barcodes and to put it on in rotation, but then anything else that the machine needs, it will pop up on the screen. If it has all needs are met, they will just disappear. So this is what the machine looks like when it is going into downtime and running QC. These off-peak hours here on the left go first, and the machine just kind of recalibrates, does a whole bunch of little maintenance programs before it starts QC calibration or any of the hydration steps. To get to this screen, when you are on the home page, there is a little gray box that says current processing on the right hand side. After we've clicked it, it'll just bring this up for you. I like to pull up this screen because it will tell me how long it takes for QC to be done. So after running all of this QC, it should take about 10 minutes. And already it has reagent needs, so either I did not pull off these flex packs, and they are out now, or the machine did not want to run them on expired packs and discarded them. If a QC level is out of range, it will pop up QC out of range in a red box. This is one that we will have to rerun. I will wait until everything has ran to see what we need to rerun. This is easier to do than going one at a time because there's a lot of levels that we have, and you want to make sure that you're documenting correctly what you're doing to try and get the QC back in range. So after 10 minutes, we'll come back and put on all the reagent. Well, we'll put the reagent needs on immediately, and then we'll wait the 10 minutes for the rest of the QC levels to be ran to see if this is the only level that we need to worry about today. Calibrator lots that are missing, I normally put them on when I put on the reagent packs, the little flex packs. And they go in the same carriers, just level 21 and above. Alright, so QC has finished running, and we only had one that was out of range. So how you fix or rerun QC is what you're going to do is click on the little red box that says QC out of range, and it will pull up the QC level that is out. So the QC that is out is one of our lipid tests, and it was on level 3. So it says QC vial info for level 3 on the left. It gives you the lot number, when it was loaded, when it expires, the next time we do QC, and the range. Pay attention to the range very closely because we want to make sure that if it's 1 standard deviation or 2 out, we want to keep track of like how often that's happening, so we can either calibrate it or we can call and see if that flex pack has been doing that recently. So it looks like our level was 648, which is 10 above what it should be for the range. So what we're going to do is at the bottom it says rerun QC right along these little tabs at the bottom. So we're going to click rerun QC. It will pull up this little box. We're going to hit run other methods from this control product. If you do not click this, you will rerun the whole panel that is used on this QC, and you will get some that even if they pass the first time, if you rerun them, they might not pass. It doesn't happen very often, but we don't want to have to keep rerunning QC. And this is the only one that's out, so it's the only one we really need to run. So we're going to hit run from other methods from this control product. You don't have to select anything else, and then we're going to click next. Then it will bring up the control products that is used on this QC. So it has a list of all of these other ones, and we only need to run this one. So it's in red, it automatically will auto-click it for you, so you don't have to do anything on this page unless you want to run any other controls or tests on this control. Then we're going to click next. Then it's going to ask if you want it in a vial or a sample cup. We're just going to keep it on vial because that is what they are loaded on the machine. We're going to click next, and it brings this up. So we're going to click next and then finished or finish. And that will start running the QC, and it will take down that little red box here. It will take this down until it is reran. And there's a couple different things that we're going to do and wait for. So if the QC is out of range the first time, we're just going to rerun it. The second time, we're going to look and see how many tests are left on the flex pack. And that is what we did earlier when we went to down here, setup, and then it will be reagents, and then we will click up at the top. Sometimes the flex packs are getting to a few of the last tests, and with QC they will run a little bit funky, and especially if they're tests that we don't do often enough to use the flex packs quick enough. Sometimes they have already punctured the top of the reagent and they haven't been used that day, and so the reagent that is in there starts to degrade, and so taking off the reagent flex pack and putting it back on will make the machine go to the next aliquot section. And if the reagent pack has all the holes punched in the top and it's almost out, we're just going to discard that in the biohazard and put on a brand new one. That's what we're going to do second. If the QC still doesn't pass, we're going to look and see when it was calibrated last. If it has been a couple days, we'll just go ahead and calibrate it. And then we will run QC again after we check and make sure the QC that is on the machine hasn't been on for too long. If it's getting low, if it has less than half of what it was loaded with, I will normally pull it off. With having two Vistas, there's normally another set of QC already loaded on the machine. They are slightly off sync, and so one will normally have more than the other because we use one more than the other. So after QC has been ran, it will go into Meditech. To get to this page after you sign into Meditech, you're just going to type in number 30 and click enter, and it will pull up this screen here. We're going to type in V for Vista, T for today, number one, and enter, and it will bring up this screen. Below is where we have our QC. You can tell under this QC description, it has the lots, and it will say Vista 1 or Vista 2. This was ran on Vista 2. This is Control 1. This is Control 2. So make sure one of these is highlighted in black, and then you're going to go to the function key and type in RT, like so. Make sure everything is capitalized when you're doing this, and then we're going to click enter. And that will bring you up to this Edit Analyzer QC result. This QC was in range, and so we're just going to hit F12, which will bring up this little file option box, and we will click Verify All Results and File, and then we will click OK. Anytime a QC is within range, we will do this. There is no need to put any notes or anything in. If it runs great the first time, that's all we need to do. If it does not run correctly, this is the box that will pop up if you try to approve the results. It is just saying that it is out of range, so you just click enter. A similar box will pop up and all you will type in is what you did. So we will type in rerun and rerun the QC on the analyzer. If that doesn't work, we'll bump the flex pack off and put on a new one or put on the old one. And we'll just put in bump pack if we do that. The third option is to do the calibration and look at the QC level and see how full it is. If we do replace the QC, we'll just put replace QC. If we have to run it a fourth time, then we will just call maintenance and see if there is anything that we can do, or if there are other analyzers having the same problem. There's been cases where the flex packs haven't worked very well and they have been running low or high. Same with any other reagents that are put on the machine, can cause them to run a little low or a little high. And that is about everything about QC. As long as you just kind of go in and troubleshoot and look and see when the reagent packs are expiring, when the QC lots are expiring, then it's a lot easier to get QC done that way.